Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Dads. I'm Joey. We are a mostly whole foods vegan channel. We do a lot of starch solutions. Sometimes there's some episodes with Tim. If you like what you hear so far, please hit that like button, show us some love, and please think about subscribing and becoming part of the Plant-Based Dads family. If you like getting these videos, you can get them up to 2 days earlier if you become one of our financial supporters. That's either through Patreon or PayPal. There's a link below for both of them in the description below this video. Our financial supporters help us get the plant-based message out to the public. If you've ever seen the show and thought about how can I help, how can I be part of this, or if you're in the Facebook group and you're like, how can I help, how can I be part of that, that's how you can help. You can become a financial supporter. We can absolutely use your help, and we'd love for you to be part of the team. Okay, so for those of you who've been following along with me, you know that this is my first video after the surgery. I had what we thought was a pituitary adenoma. And the way I described it in the last video was that it was supposed to be kind of this dormant, old, crusty tumor that was sitting on my pituitary gland, which is up against the back of my eye, and it was causing some vision loss. So they were just gonna take it out, and here's the whole story of what happened. And it turns out to be something more than that. We learned a lot more about it after it came out, and it's pretty surprising. First, the procedure was they were gonna put me under, and they're gonna cut holes in both my nostrils, and in one of them they're gonna stick up it sounds gross, but they're gonna stick a camera up there, and the other one gonna stick a grabby thing up there, and then work their way up to this thing and, you know, grab it carefully and pull them both back down, and I was gonna recover. That didn't sound too bad. I mean, holes in my nostrils, maybe a little blood. They told me there'd be blood dripping down for a few weeks, and I was like, okay, you know, no big deal. And they told me that I would have like what seems like a pressure sinus headache for a few weeks. And you know, I've had maybe 4 headaches in my whole life. Like I don't get headaches, like I don't get sick. I was like, okay, well, how bad could that be, right? So that's what I expected. So here's what happened. The morning of the surgery, they get me ready. I get into the hospital, and I'm using some notes I wrote down here, so you'll see me look down. And we get there, and it's interesting because, like, we know everyone there. Like, the nurses that are coming to be assigned to me and all that, they're like, you know, Tim! Like, Tim knows everyone, right? And then he'll be like, oh yeah, we used to work together in 1996 over in the blood bank or something, right? So, you know, it was kind of fun to watch Tim go through memory lane with these people. And one by one, he's known all these people for a long time. So they're getting me ready, and I take off my personal belongings, my clothes, and put a gown on, and I put all my stuff in a bag so I would have it in the room, right? And then another interesting thing happened was someone comes over and goes, are you Mr. Troxel? And I was like, yes, I am. She was a nurse that was not assigned to our unit, but she worked in the hospital. So I'm like, oh my God, someone recognizes me from Plant-Based Dad. But she's like, you're Joey Troxel. And I said, yes, absolutely. And then she goes, oh my God, my grandson has you. You're my grandson's math teacher. And I was like, oh my God, it's someone from the school. And I was like, oh, and then she told me the kid's name. I was like, oh yeah, he's in my 7th period class. He's one of my 7th graders. And she's like, oh, he just adored you, and I wanted to come over and say hello, and I'm so excited to meet you. And I was like, okay. Like, it wasn't anything about Plant-Based Dads, right? Here I am thinking, oh, you know, I'm a YouTube celebrity. No, it's math, right? So it was very nice for her to come over and say hello. It actually made me feel good that I had some connection to these people, because Tim, like, knew everyone, and I didn't know anyone, right? So that was really nice of her, and I'm glad that she did it. She was worried because of whatever rule, and she's like, is it okay if I talk to you about this? And I said, yes, you absolutely can. Let's talk. And she's like, my grandson loves you and all that. So she wanted to make sure she wasn't breaking in my privacy thing and all that. I said, no, please, I would love to talk to you about my students, right? Especially, you know, assuming it's, you know, you're a family member. So that was cool, right? They take all my stuff, they put it in bags, and I expect to have it in the room, right? So the anesthesia guy comes by, and Tim knows him, right? And, you know, he's doing the anesthesia, and the other nurse is there getting me prepped or whatever. I don't remember them saying, we're putting the anesthesia in now, so you're gonna start counting. Like, I didn't do any of that, right? I just remember waking up, but and I was kind of mad. I'm like, Tim, what if something happened to me? Like, I didn't say goodbye to you or anything, right? And he's like, no, we went through all that. And I was like, I don't remember any of that, right? So apparently we went through all that, but I just don't remember it. So that was good, right? So they put me under, and they do the operation. Now there's 2 different surgeons. There's the ENT who's prepping the nose, right, for the neurosurgeon, and then there's the neurosurgeon who's in there doing the removal, right? So they have to line that up. When the one doctor's there, then he's done, and the other one comes in and takes over. It takes a few hours for this. So they do the surgery. Now I'm waking up. Now the surgery was at 8:30 a.m., right? I was there at 6 a.m. getting prepped and all that. The surgery was at 8:30. At 3 o'clock, from what I can remember, I'm starting to wake up. And they go get Tim, and they're like, he's waking up. Tim had gone home, got cleaned up, made some food for me, a protein shake and some fresh fruit salad, and brought it to the hospital in a cooler. And was there waiting for me to wake up. So I'm starting to come out of it, right? And all I remember is I am in excruciating pain, like I've never felt before, right? And and I kept thinking, what is going on? Like, I didn't have any pain from my head or from the operation. I had pain in a few other places. First, my throat was killing me. It was ripped up. And I was like, why does my throat hurt, right? And they're like, well, we had a tube down your throat for the operation. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know you were doing that. Like, why? I guess when people have these operations, most of the people, a majority of them, are not in good health to start with, and they got to make sure they have air to their lungs and all. They just do that with everyone. I feel like I probably didn't need that, right? But I mean, I was under, so I don't. They did what they had to do. But my throat was ripped up. And every time, now the tube's out, right? They took it out before they woke me up. But every time I swallow, it felt like I was swallowing a porcupine and it was ripping my throat up. So swallowing was just miserable, right? And I'm basically crying like it hurt so bad. One of the nurse that Tim knows is sitting next to me, and he's putting ice chips in my mouth one at a time as I dissolve, and he puts another one. And I don't even realize he's doing it because I'm so out of it, right? But he knows my throat's going to be ripped up and it's going to be in pain. So he's giving me ice chips to swallow, which I guess you could say helped, but it just felt like really cold pain, right? I don't know that it did anything, but bless his heart, he was over there trying to make me feel better, right? So my throat was killing me. So that's the first thing, right? I mean, my throat's in excruciating pain. My dick is killing me, right? And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I feel like I have to pee and I know I don't. What is going on? And they're like, you have a catheter in you. And I'm like, why the hell do I have a catheter in me? We're here for my brain, right? And they're like, yes, but it's just procedure. We put a catheter in you. I'm like, get that thing out of me. And they're like, you need to have it. You don't have to pee. You're fine. Just leave it. I'm like, no, I don't need this. Is there any reason why I have to have this in right now? Now that the surgery's over. They're like, no. I'm like, take it out. And they're like, there's a balloon. I'm like, I don't care. Do what you have to do. Get it out. So I don't know if they deflate the balloon. They just pull out whatever. I mean, I was so in such pain from the throat. I didn't even notice it, right? But the tip of my dick hurt really bad. So they took that out, and now, I mean, it just feels like there's a gaping hole in it, right? And that was really painful. And as I would go on to pee later on in the night and all that, it was really bad. Now, there's no blood or anything down there, but it was just something I had not anticipated. And then the sides of my head hurt, right? And I was like, why is the sides of my head hurt? And they were like, you were in a brace. So we had, a brace with whatever connected to your head so it doesn't move while we're doing the surgery. And it's not there anymore, but I've got like these like marks on my head that look like scabs, as if it was like bars holding me. So like, keep in mind, like I just had like my nose cut up and something removed, and none of that is bothering me. It's all this stuff for the prep that's bothering me, right? None of the actual surgery is hurting me. So I felt like that was really annoying. Like, I wish I had known like the prep was gonna hurt more than the surgery, right? Because I wasn't prepared for that. And then the last thing is my nose is bleeding. No drainage is just coming down and it's all blood, right? Because they just cut my nose up. So I've got this gauze under my nose and my head's wrapped up and that's soaking up blood and it has to be changed. Not so much pain there, but just kind of this, my nose is half blocked and I'm really having trouble breathing, and I'm a nose breather. So like, I'm just in this condition, and keep in mind, I'm in excruciating pain, right? And they're like pumping me up with morphine and other stuff, right? Get the morphine, get blah, 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 and I hear all this stuff. I never take any pain medication, right? So they're doing all that. I don't know, it didn't work. Like, I know they were giving me the medication, but I'm still in excruciating pain. So at this point, the catheter's out. The tube's out of my throat. I woke up with no tube. And I've now just got this really, really sore throat that is just overtaking everything. So we're in this hall area with curtains where you go after the surgery while waiting for a room, and there's not a room available yet. So I'm waiting for a room to come up, and Tim's there, and the nurses are there, and they're trying to, Tim's rubbing my feet, and they're trying to keep me going as comfortable as I can be in this uncomfortable stage. And eventually a room opens up, and we get up into a room, and I can feel the bed going up, and I'm just dazing in and out of consciousness because it's so painful, right? So now it's about 5 p.m. and we're up in the room. And, I don't know, I'm not really hungry. I don't feel like I have an appetite, but I haven't eaten since the day before, right? For about 24 hours. So Tim decides he needs to give me some protein shake. So he's got protein shake and he's got a spoon. And we knew I couldn't use a straw after the surgery for a while. So he's spooning me those spoonfuls of protein shake. And it's really good, but after about, I would take a swallow and feel nauseous. And I take a swallow and feel nauseous again. And after about the 5th swallow, it's like, Tim, I can't do this. I will throw up. My throat is just too My throat is just too sore and ripped up. And I can't eat this, right? So he said, okay, no problem. So he put it back in the cooler. So, while I'm in this room, there's just lots of pain, lots of noise. The other thing is the light coming in was hurting my eyes. Now, I'm a sunlight person. Like when I get up, I get the crack of dawn. So soon as the sun comes up in Arizona, which is about, 5:15, I get up, I open the blinds, I'm ready to go for the day, right? Like I need the sun. I'm like Superman. All of my energy comes from the sun, right? So the sunlight's coming in and I'm like, close the blinds, my eyes, right? My eyes were super sensitive to light. So I had to have them close all of the lights, close all of the blinds. I couldn't see any bit of light or my eyes would hurt. And I guess this is just kind of what happens after the surgery, which I had not anticipated either. So at this point, it's 5 o'clock. I'm like, Tim, just go home. Like, there's nothing you can do here. I'm a mess. Like, I don't know if I'm ever getting out of this hospital. Look at me. Like, I'm in the worst shape I've ever seen. And he was like, I've never seen you like this. And I was like, the doctors were like, oh, you'll be fine. I promise you'll be fine. And I'm just thinking, this is it, right? Like, I'm never leaving this place. But I convinced him to go home. Like, I just don't want anything. Just go home, right? I need to sleep this off. Like, I have to heal. I just need to sleep. So he leaves me. Everyone leaves me. And I just tell them to just go. Now, the hospital bed is doing some things. Every hour, this automated thing happens where my blood pressure gets checked and it goes down. And it blows up and then takes my pressure and goes down. There's massagers things on my feet, on my ankles, that are massaging my feet so I don't get a clot. I don't know. Maybe that happens. I don't think about it. So there's a lot of noise going on. You really can't sleep, right? Like, it's impossible. And then outside of my room, there's a lot of noise. Like, some guy had a seizure and is in the hospital across from me. So every hour they walk in and I don't know if he's hard of hearing, but they're saying his name really loud. Like, Charlie, do you know where you are? You had a seizure. How many fingers am I holding up? What's your name? Do you know where? And they're just yelling this out, right? That's how they get and I hear this and I'm just like, there's no sleeping here, right? You can't sleep in a hospital. Now, they're not waking me up every hour for anything, right? I'm healthy, they know that, so they don't need to constantly check numbers with me and all that. Plus, they've got stuff attached to my arm. I've got an IV, I've got another port that's not being used, I've got some other thing over here into my vein, right? And I've got leads all over me and the machine, and every time it does the blood pressure and it goes back and it's, it's under 180 it's under 120 over 80. So it's always under that. I don't know anything about blood pressure, but I know those are benchmark numbers, right? So it's never high or anything. My pulse is never high. Like, all of that stuff is normal, but I'm just sitting there on death's bed about to die, right? So I told everyone to leave. I wanted it all dark. I told Tim to go home. And here's what I didn't realize. When Tim left, the nurse told him, take his personal belongings with you, so we're not responsible with them. So Tim takes my bag with my glasses and my phone, right? And he also takes the bag of food he brought me. He brought me fresh fruit salad. He made a bunch of fruits and he made a fruit salad. He brought me a smoothie. He had some beans and chickpeas in there, just stuff I could snack on, right? Not that I could have with my throat, but he brought all that, right? And he took it home with him because he's like, well, it's gonna go bad if I leave it here overnight. And then when he looked at me, he was like, yeah, he's not going to be eating anything for days, right? There's just no way. So we all thought that I would be there for quite a long time to recover from this. So he leaves, everyone leaves, and I'm just kind of going to bed, and then every hour I wake up and I go back to bed. So about 10 o'clock comes in, and the nurse comes in. She's like, I bought you some painkillers. So when she said that, I realized my throat still hurt, but it was not raw. Like, I could swallow, and I could probably eat something if I wanted, right? So I said, I don't need the painkillers. I'm actually doing better. She's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, you know, like, it's not, I don't feel like when I swallow now, my throat's being ripped up. I just feel like it's sore, but that's it. I said, I can manage this. And she goes, okay. It was like 10 o'clock at night on the day of the surgery, right? So she leaves. And throughout the night, I'm deciding, you know what, I think I'm gonna watch TV, right? Like I've kind of slept for hours and I'm not really tired. So I'm gonna watch TV. So I'm looking for my glasses, and that's when I realized all my stuff's gone. And Tim had my glasses, and I can't call him because he took my phone also. So I was sitting there going, okay, I can't watch TV. I can't use my phone and text anyone. I can't do anything. All I can do is sit here in this bed because I don't have glasses or my phone. And, you know, normally I'd be annoyed from that, but I mean, Tim was doing what he thought was best for me. We had planned all of this for weeks on what I would have in the room with me so I could keep myself entertained, right? Like I could, you know, answer some emails or something, I don't know, and have food, and it was all gone. And I was just like, how did this happen? Like, I planned this, like, right to the T. Why am I here with nothing? So I thought, okay, well, this is just a good opportunity for me to sleep some more. I'll just sleep as much as I can, even if I'm not tired. So I spent the rest of the evening, like, kind of in and out of sleep. At one point, about 2 a.m., I needed to go to the bathroom to pee. Like, I didn't feel like I had to pee a lot, but I felt like I could pee. And up until that point, I'd been peeing in the container. And I'm like, you know what? Can I even get up? Like, am I still nauseous? Can I make it to the bathroom? So when the nurse came in, now the good thing about this hospital is the nurse is right outside my window. Like, she's at her desk looking into the room, staring right at me. So if I just go like this, she's up, right? And she came in, she said, what can I do for you? And I said, you know, I'm thinking about going to the bathroom, but I don't want to bother you. I could pee. And she's like, no, I'll take you. We'll go. And I said, great. I said, I'm fine. I just need to, I'm carrying this IV. I don't know what to do with this IV thing. And I'm connected to this machine in the bed. She's like, I'll take care of all that. I said, okay, great. So she took all the little leads off me, and then the IV, she just gave me the bag off the hook, and I would just carry it. And I was able to get myself to the bathroom. Like, I was able to stand up. I felt fine. And I went to the bathroom and then hung the thing up, and I, you know, just stood there and peed. And I was fine, right? And I went back, and she's like, you really okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm not nauseous. I'm really actually fine. I've slept a lot. The pain's no longer that bad, and I'm actually doing okay. She's like, that's great. And I said, okay. So I went back to bed. I went back in the bed. She's hooked me back up with all the leads and all that stuff. And we went back to me being monitored. And I kind of just, you know, laid there and was in and out of consciousness, just trying to fall asleep and get some extra healing in. But I could feel my body was healing. I knew it, right? Now, throughout this visit, right, I had nurses come in and out. The ones I remember, Tess, she was kind of my first nurse. She was really good. She got me set up. And then I had Ashley and Laura. They were really fun. Ashley looked like this girl I follow on YouTube who's East Indian descent, who does this, she does all this Indian food. It's so good. Like, I got one of her cookbooks, right? She looked just like her. So I was like, Ashley, I know this is going to sound strange, but she's like, oh, go ahead. And I said, are you a YouTube star? And she's like, what? I said, have you written cookbooks? She's like, no. And so I was like, okay, you look like this girl. And I was telling her about it and the whole bit. So she was funny. And then Laura was, I don't know if that was her trainee or something. She had Laura with her who looked like, well, Ashley was definitely the confident one, and Laura was kind of like learning, but I don't know how far along Laura was. But anyway, Laura was a lot of fun too. Laura was really smart when we were talking about food. So it was Ashley and Laura. And then there was Justin. And Justin is kind of this big burly guy who's a male nurse. And he came in after I was starting to heal and all that. He's like, how you doing, buddy? And I was like, actually, I'm doing okay. He wrote his name. I'm Justin. And he wrote his name on the board. They always come and write their names on the board so I know who they are. He's like, how you doing, buddy? And it's like, I'm doing good, Justin. Thank you. I said, I'm healing and all that. I stopped taking pain medication at 10 o'clock. So I think I'm good. I feel really good. He's like, okay. So he comes over, and I had gotten back from the bathroom, right? So he comes over, and my blankets were on, and he puts the blankets on. So I'm going to cover you up here. I said, okay, thanks, Justin. And then he grabs the blanket and puts it over my toes. He goes, let me cover up your toesies. Let me cover up your toesies, right? Like, who says that, right? And I was just like, okay, Justin, thank you, right? Like, it was so like caring and loving that I just felt like this is someone who's known me for a long time. Maybe it was my mom, right? Just taking care of me. And I just felt that, like, this is why people go into nursing, right? They want to care for you. They want to comfort you. And that's what he did. And I mean, I'm never going to forget any of these nurses, but Justin I will always remember him, right? He was really, really nice. And I didn't expect that from his kind of frame and kind of, you know, who he was. So I appreciate everything he did and treating me or talking to me as if I was one of his kids, right? It really made me feel good. So I was in great hands. All right, so I go through the night, I'm fine, and about 6 a.m., one of my doctors comes in, and and he walks in and sees me, like, I'm just sitting there awake, and I'm kind of like bored, right? And he goes, like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he goes, you don't sound like you just had surgery. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing well. As I went to the bathroom on my own, I'm up and around, I don't have any nausea, I'm ready to go home. And he was like, okay. So he comes over and checks my vitals and all that, and then he reaches out his hand and shakes my hand, and he goes, this is really impressive. Like, this is amazing. I'm proud of you. I was like, oh, thanks. I said, what did I say? Something like, listen, don't underestimate the power of potatoes and broccoli. He had no idea what I was talking about. But while I was there, I did tell people, like, hey, I've got this really good Instapot recipe. You have to check it out. Spicy garlic noodles. Hey, you got to check out my Instapot beans. Like, I'm sure they were like, all right, send him home, right? Enough already with the Instapot. So he was really impressed that I was like and I had told him, like, listen, I stopped taking pain medication like 10 o'clock last night, right? Like, I'm good. So he was like, holy smoke. So he said, okay, we'll see if we can get you out of here. I said, perfect. So Ashley comes in and Laura, we're chit-chatting about diabetes and stuff like that, pre-diabetes. And I say, Ashley, my phone's not here. Like, how do I call my husband? And she's like, well, let me give you the phone she walks around with. And I said, perfect. So I called Tim, and now it's like, I don't know, 6:30 a.m., right? And Tim sees the phone ring, and he answers. He goes, Tim speaking. And I go, hey, where the food at? I'm starving. And he goes, Joey? And I go, yes, who were you expecting? He goes, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm okay. I don't have my glasses, so I can't watch TV. I don't have my phone, so I can't contact you. I don't have any food, and I'm starving. And he goes, holy smoke. I was not expecting you to be up and around at this point. I said, can you bring me some food? I got to get out of here. And he's like, yeah. I'm on my way. It'll be 30 minutes. I said, no problem. So I guess I startled Tim. Even he didn't think that it was time for me to, like, get the hell out of here, right? So he's on his way down, and he gets there, and he brings me some food, and he knows the people there, and they're all catching up. And now I'm eating fruit salad, and oh my God, it is so good. The pain is basically gone, right? In my throat, it just kind of healed up. And I still got this thing around my nose, but really that's all, right? And I still got the IV in me and all that nonsense. But the throat pain is gone, so I can eat again, and I am starving. And that fruit salad was like the best thing I've ever eaten. Like, I could taste the fruit. Oh, I didn't tell you the best part. Listen to this. So when it was time for breakfast, they wheel in a cart, and they're like, hey, breakfast is ready. And as the cart's going by, I see the board where it says diet, and it says regular diet. And I go, oh my God, I've told 6 people here I'm a vegan, and no one wrote that on the board. So the cart comes in, right? And he starts peeling, right? Things open, little packaged foods. And I go, oh, what's that? And he goes, oh, it's some chicken broth to heal you. And then he starts open. I go, to heal me? Chicken broth. And he goes, yeah. And I go, I'm a vegan. They didn't write that down. And he's like, oh, no problem. I'll go get you a vegan meal. And I know this hospital has vegan meals. And I said, I just watched him open that stuff, and I went, no thanks. And that was when I said to the nurse, I need the phone. I need to call my husband, right? But when I realized, like, there's no way I'm eating that crap, right? So even if they had a vegan meal, it's all going to be processed. Everything there was processed. So they're like, do you want me to leave any of this? I'm like, I don't know what's on that plate, but no, just get rid of it. I'm not going to eat any of that. So that was kind of bizarre that I told so many people I was a vegan. They still brought me a chicken-based meal because the broth was chicken broth. So I don't know where that fell through the loop or fell through the cracks, but it absolutely did. So they could probably work on that, be a little better. So anyway, the doctors come in, they agree it's time for me to leave. The nurses agree. We say goodbye. Everyone's, happy that I'm getting out of there. And it's time to go. So we go home and I start the recovery process. It's slow, right? I took some photos and uploaded them to YouTube and the Facebook group. And I'm just, at home resting and trying not to do too much. Okay. Here's the interesting part of all this. That's out. That's everything we kind of expected with a few extra things in there, right? The tumor came out fine. I'm healing. Now we get the pathology back, which is Tim's department, actually. So the pathology shows that, they do all this staining, right? And I'm on the phone with my doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, I've got your pathology right here. It just came back. Let me read it to you. And he goes, oh, I did not expect this at all. And I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Like, what the hell is going on, right? So he goes, this thing stained as a corticotrope adenoma. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? And he goes, all right, so corticotrope adenoma. And he started explaining to me, this is a very basic, like, what this is, because I really know nothing about medical. I guess this thing tells the body that you need more cortisol when you don't, right? So this leads to something called Cushing's disease or Cushing's syndrome. I don't know what it's called. And it raises my body's cortisol. Now, if you have been watching me, you know that about 2 years ago, I lost 30 pounds doing starch solution and then never talked about it again after that. And during that time, I've put some of that weight back on, probably about 10 pounds of it, right? And I eat the same stuff. And it's just so bizarre because I cannot get the weight to regulate correctly. And, I've had my metabolism checked. I've had my testosterone checked, right? And both times they're like, no, your testosterone is fine, which I know it's fine because everything's physically working. But I thought there must be something wrong. Why am I not losing weight the way I was? And why kind of has it stopped? And it all makes sense now. This little tumor, right? Now that we know that it was a corticotrope tumor, right? Was emitting or causing my body, telling my body I need more cortisol. And cortisol will mess up your weight loss. It causes you to gain weight. So I met this doctor and we were talking about this and he was like, no one saw this coming. And I said, let me just tell you a problem I've been having. And I explained how I'm gaining weight when I should be losing weight, or at least my weight is stuck at this spot and I can't get rid of it. And he goes, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Because up until this point, they're like, it was a corticotrope tumor, but it wasn't doing anything. It was silent. And I was like, bullshit, it was silent, right? Here's how I know it wasn't silent, right? Because my weight was not coming down. And I'm eating like starches and non-starches. That shouldn't happen. I should be so thin with what I'm doing that High Carb Hannah calls me up and goes, you bitch, and hangs up the phone. That's how thin I should be, right? That's not happening. And I haven't talked about it because I don't understand any of it, right? And it all makes sense now. So he changed the diagnosis and the notes based on what I was telling him. And I said, let me tell you this, because I just went to him last Friday, did all the blood work. I said, ever since that tumor came out, I've lost 7 pounds, like in 2 weeks, which, like, that's unheard of for me. And he goes, yes, that does make sense. So it probably was even though it was silent, where it wasn't doing anything, I don't have Cushing disease, I don't have all of the things that this type of tumor brings, it was still changing the body's cortisol. And he told me that even after they took it out, the day they took it out, they did my blood work, and my cortisol was some number, I don't know, 37 or something, I don't know. And then they did it the day of when I went to see him, almost a week later, and it was an 11, right? And he was like, yeah, it was much lower. And I said, it makes sense, and the weight came down. So, this damn thing in my head that we said was a crusty old thing doing nothing was actually a corticotrope adenoma. And even though it didn't give me Cushing disease, which again, I have to thank my plant-based diet for that, right? That thing was limited on what it can do. It still raised my cortisol levels which caused me to gain or sustain weight and not lose the weight I should have been losing in the beginning. And now that that thing's out of me and the weight's coming off, holy smoke, I feel like a different person. So I'm kind of back on track, not because like I changed my eating back to be on track because it was always on track, but because I got rid of the thing that was hindering or causing the problem in the first place. I don't even know what to say, right? One of the things I want to do real quick, or at the end of this video, is people have sent me cards. I gave them my P.O. box, and they sent me cards in the mail, right? And I've got this really nice card right here from Robert Laurel, and it's really nice because they write in the card, right? And they'll just fill out the whole card. I mean, they're sending me wishes, right? Sending loving and prayers and healing for recovery, and you're such a blessing to the whole food plant-based world. Thanks to both of you for sending this. I appreciate it, but there were people just send me cards, and it just really made me feel good to come home to this, right? There's a few other ones too. So I've got a card here. This one's from Stephanie Wilson. And this is like a 3D card with a bird on it. Stephanie probably knows that from my videos that I love, like I sit here and watch the birds all day. She probably knows I love birds, right? So this really was really fun to open. And again, just kind of a whole message that she wrote by hand in this. I absolutely love this. Just, wishing you a successful surgery and thank you for, for everything that you're doing. I'm just showing you what I do every week. I'm not trying to change the world, but I am trying to show you that you can do a plant-based diet and reap the benefits of it also, right? And stuff like this, people sending me a card and writing in it, like their thoughts, I absolutely love that. I'm gonna do one more real quick here. So this one here is from the Fox family. And it's just a simple little card, right? And inside, they wrote like a whole letter to me, right? All in script, beautiful handwriting, just talking about how they love following the show, and they're wishing me good thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And all of that information that they hand wrote out, right? And filled up the entire card, and all our love and best wishes. I don't know any of these people, right? Like, I don't know them. I've never met them, but these are some of the letters of people who follow the show and wanted to just let me know that they were thinking of me. And I can't thank you enough for doing that. I hope it's okay that I said your names on the YouTube episode here. Stuff like that, like I said before the surgery, if you follow me on Facebook, when I went into the surgery, right, I had, 10,000 people tell me, you got this, we're praying for you, blah, blah, blah. And I went in there thinking, okay, I got this. I've got all the people supporting me behind me. We're a team. I'm unbreakable, right? And I was, I recovered so fast. They were like, what? And, less than 24 hours I was out of there, right? And I'm recovered. You can see now, I appear to be healed, even though I'm not. I've still got the sinus stuff, right? And coming home, starting with that before the surgery and coming home to the cards after the surgery and the letters and the so many emails and people just instant message me on Facebook. I've got hundreds of instant messages. I don't know what it is about me, but people seem to just instant message me all the time, not just because of surgery. Somehow they get that I'm approachable and they just instant message me. And you don't ever want to instant message me because I'll be chatting you for 20 minutes and you'll be like, enough already, right? But I answer all those and I keep conversations going with those people. So I want to thank you, all of you, everyone out there who's wished me well in Facebook, on YouTube, who sent me a card, all of it. If you just kept me in your thoughts, right, and did nothing else, I appreciate you. And I am so thankful for everything that you did for me and for all the power that you gave me to get through this. We did this, it's over, it's done. I'm gonna go for some follow-up MRIs. I'll keep you updated on that. You guys know I hate MRIs, right? But I'm gonna do them anyway. And I'll let you know if anything changes. But at this point, we're just gonna get back to cooking and this is all gonna be done. We did have some meals we made specifically after the surgery because they worry about constipation, some other things. But I was like, listen, I have a high fiber diet. Constipation is not happening. So we'll probably do some meals, right? Meal videos about what I ate when I was trying to recover. That's a different video. But for this video, I wanted you to know that I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I'm good. We're all good. All right, that's our video for today. Please hit that like button. Show us some love. Click on that subscribe button and hit that bell and you'll get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Monday. And please leave a comment below. I know so many of you went through this or had someone in your family that went through this, and they all, there were no like effects that, everyone seemed to have gotten through it just like I did. So leave a comment below. Did you have to deal with this? Did everything turn out okay? Is this the outcome you were expecting from me? I'd love to hear it. And listen, we did this together and I couldn't be happier. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.